Gazzetta, Football Italia, Q titles. Welcome to the show. We have 37 goals to show you today and a lot more. But first, this.
Coming up, it's Juventus versus Atalanta. James Richardson brings us news from up and down the country. All the goals from a record-breaking Serie A Sunday. A close look at little Pescara. 23 goals as Italian clubs surge into Europe. Gazzetta pleads for mercy from his old Spurs teammates. Tomorrow it's Napoli versus Inter. Are Inter getting their act together at last? Gazza's views on this week's games. Toto Schilacci could win you a dream trip to the Italian Cup final.
Hi, I'm very tired at the moment because I have my first game coming up shortly against Tottenham. But more about that later. Now we will show you Juventus versus Atalanta.
Still no David Platt in this starting 11 for Juventus today. He broke his nose while playing for England on Wednesday night in an international friendly against Spain. So Juventus 3 permitted overseas players: Andy Muller, Julio Cesar, the Brazilian sweeper, and Jurgen Kohler. Atalanta include £850,000 signing from Napoli, Alamao, the Brazilian. But their principal source of hope when it comes to goals is Maurizio Gans, once on Sampdoria's books, and Roberto Rambaudi, who scored a penalty last week in Atalanta's 2-1 win over Parma. Di Canio again. Tries to improve the angle on his cross and then elects to knock it back here to Julio Cesar. Juventus certainly have been patient looking for this opening. Baggio! Well, that certainly would have been spectacular had it found its targets. And Roberto Baggio, who can score some spectacular goals. Unlucky there. To his Borini. That's a tremendous ball, looking for Gans. One real opportunity for Atalanta, and they've spurned it. They've been playing with neurotic caution for most of this game, and when they sprung Juventus's offside trap, Gans was in the clear and was unable to hit the target. Dino Baggio. Di Canio. The touch of Vialli took it away that time from Julio Cesar. Baggio again with a cross, and that's the opening goal. Jurgen Kohler on target for Juventus. He only managed 2 goals all last season, but he's come up with a priceless goal now for the home club. Juventus just need to step up a gear now. They've got an opening goal, and they have possession too here. Canio. Muller. Oh, that's a great goal! Andy Muller scores his first goal for his new club. He's criticised about being inconsistent. That was a quite breathtaking strike by Andy Muller. 4 minutes from half-time. Juventus have some breathing space. They lead Atalanta by 2-0. Baggio. Tremendous burst of speed, always being hauled back. The referee allows the advantage. Baggio again. Muller! In fairness, Biliardi was back on the goal line to deal with any shots Muller might have had if it had beaten the goalkeeper. Oh, the slip lets in Gans, who must score, and does, and Atalanta are back in this match. Juventus generous to a fault at both ends of the field. Andy Muller scored that tremendous goal just before half-time now. Vialli onto his right foot, getting the ball wide. Conte's there. Well, that's a good stop by the keeper, Vialli! He too scores his first goal for the club in a league game. He scored harder goals, but my goodness, there's a collective sigh of relief around this stadium. Vialli, Muller, onto his right foot. Oh, what a strike! Muller shoots and Muller scores for Juventus. His second goal of the game against the club who almost signed him. Well, a lot was written about his inept performance 7 days ago. Even more will be written about his 2-goal tally in this match against Atalanta.
Now James Richardson, our man in Italy, brings us up to date on the news of the week.
Well, it's been a pretty good week in Italian football, starting off with last Sunday, the second round of the Championships, in which 37 goals were scored, 24 of which were before the half-time whistle. That is most definitely a record. Also up attendances by an average of 6,000 on last year's figures. Now, unfortunately, adding to the numbers in the stands is our very own David Platt, who's had to make room in the Juventus team once again for Andreas Muller. After the game against Cagliari, Juventus' Gianluca Vialli dedicated the goal he scored to the Englishman for the grace and professionalism with which he has faced exclusion. Vialli went on, now Platt deserves praise for his behaviour off the field, but soon it'll be for his play on the field. But one man who's having no trouble on the field at all is Van Basten, this week crowned Van Basten the King by the Gazzetta dello Sport. That was after his hat-trick at Pescara, which took his goals total here in Italy to 80, one short of the record for a foreigner, which is currently held by one Diego Armando Maradona. Now, speaking of the great man himself, Maradona's future seems still far from certain. There remains the small matter of Napoli's £7 million price. Sevilla have only offered £2.5 million. Maradona's now made his fourth threat of retirement if the problems aren't sorted out quickly, so FIFA have convened a special meeting for this Monday in Zurich between Sevilla, Napoli and the arbitrators. It's not enough, however, for Maradona's manager, Signor Franchi, who wants the case to go all the way to the UN. Signor Franchi, who will no doubt also want to contact UNICEF or at the very least the World Wildlife Fund, claims these people are playing with Diego's lives, and so he calls for the UN to intervene to save Maradona's human rights. Meanwhile, Napoli needn't worry anymore about the Argentine, according to the Corriere dello Sport this week, who announced Fonseca cancels Diego. Fonseca scoring 5 goals the other night against Valencia. That's as many as Diego Maradona scored in all his UEFA Cup matches. In fact, Wednesday was a great night for nearly all the Italian clubs. Milan and Juventus scored 10 goals between them, and even Roma came up with a 4-1 win over Wacker Innsbruck, including 2 goals from Giannini, or as the Corriere dello Sport calls him, Bum Bum Giannini. That's all from the papers this week. Coming up, a full roundup of all the Italian clubs' European games. That's after the break.
Welcome back. Now our first selection from last week's goal feast in Serie A, starting with Lazio against Fiorentina.
9 minutes in, and Batistuta followed up by Arno's header from a brilliant Laudrup cross. 1-0 to Fiorentina. It was the first goal of the season for the Argentinian striker. The author of the goal, Brian Laudrup. Fiorentina made most of the early running, and Orlando was through on the Lazio defence before Effenberg hit the upright. Well, Lazio hit back after 21 minutes of the game when Dole was brought down in the penalty box by Pioli. The replay shows Pioli's first contact with Dole was made outside the box. The referee, Baldas, awarded the penalty. Signori converted the spot kick to take him top of the goal-scoring table with 3 in 2 games. From then on, Lazio took control, and Riedler should have scored after a good cross here by Signori. They say Riedler's the best header of a ball in Europe, but not on this occasion. Well, Dole put Lazio into the lead after 34 minutes with this drive coming up here. The ball laid off to him by Riedler. It was a brilliant goal by the German international, struck from fully 30 yards. The Lazio goalkeeper Pioli, subject to much transfer speculation in the summer, justified his place with this brilliant save from Batistuta. In the second half, Crevero was sent off for his second bookable offence after this poor challenge on Brian Laudrup. Crevero caught Laudrup just above the knee. Dino Zoff wasn't looking too happy about it, but Stefan Effenberg forced another great save here. The 10-men Lazio were hanging on. Effenberg scored with a free kick last week, not this though. But sure enough, Fiorentina's pressure eventually told. 20 minutes from time, Batistuta found a way through, neatly chipped the ball over into the vacant goal. A great finish from the Argentinian in his second season in the Florentine side. Another draw for Lazio, 2 each against Fiorentina. At the Tardini Stadium, Parma and Udinese met for the first time in a Serie A match. Parma went ahead after 4 minutes. The Belgium international Georges Grun slotted in from close range. Udinese went close twice with free kicks from Delano, but Parma defence held on. Then Melli, the under-21 Italian international striker, put the Udinese defence under pressure, but hit his shot against the upright. Almost a way through here, the frame of the goal denied this excellent run. Udinese survived a penalty appeal here as the goalkeeper Di Leo brought down Benarivo. Then Colombian star Asprilla scored on his home debut. He's going to prove to be a popular purchase if he can score goals like this. Well, Balbo brought Udinese back into this game early in the second half, before failing to win a penalty for Matacano's sliding tackle. Mandolini was then sent off with half an hour to go for deliberate handball. And then with 2 minutes left, Melli fired home to make it 3-1 for the home side, last season's Italian Cup winners. Parma 3, Udinese 1. Pescara were hoping for a repeat of their win in Rome last week and went straight onto the attack against the champions Milan, scoring early on. Pescara supplying the cross for Allegri to score on the far post. Milan replied almost immediately with a goal from left-back Maldini. And then went ahead 2 minutes later with this bicycle kick from world record signing Lentini. A goal which starts to repay his massive transfer fee, £13 million. But Pescara was soon level with this goal from Nobile. Free kick deflected in from Costa Curta, own goal. The game was only 11 minutes old and the fans had already seen 4 goals. Another deflected goal put Pescara ahead 3 minutes later as Allegri's shot cannons off Baresi. 3-2. The Pescara supporters were having a real red letter day. Another goal coming up here for Pescara. Massara stole away to take it round the goalkeeper. 4-2. Only 2 seasons ago, Massara was playing in the 3rd division in Italy. But it was Marco van Basten who began the Milan fight back with the first of his 3 goals. Donadoni supplied the cross for the Dutch striker. 4-3. Just before half-time, Milan made it 4 apiece. Van Basten beat the offside trap and converted Savicevic's neatly flighted pass. The winner came 18 minutes from full-time. Rijkaard split the Pescara defence and Van Basten drove the ball home. With this goal, Van Basten joined Signori at the top of the goal-scoring charts. Well, it could have been 6 for Milan, but Severani palmed away Maldini's late effort. And Pescara's last chance to draw level was lost in the penalty box scramble here. Milan just holding on, getting the better of a 9-goal thriller. Pescara 4, Milan 5.
And that performance by Pescara prompted James Richardson to take a closer look at the Serie A new boys.
About 140 miles east of Roma, where the river Pescara reaches the Adriatic Sea, is this
Place, Pescara. It's the major commercial centre of this area of Italy. It's a town of about 135,000 people. And it's one of the biggest beach resorts on this stretch of coast. But more than all that, and the reason that we're here, it's the home
of Pescara culture. They don't have millions or 6 foreign players, but they are freshly promoted to Serie A. And here in Pescara, the local club is the centre of attention.
Diciamo che si vive di pane, calcio e cuore dello sport, per dire, no?
Ma io penso che potrebbe essere la rivelazione del campionato.
Se domenica il Pescara dovesse vincere a Brescia, già si troverà nelle prime posizioni, visterà maggior gloria e sproni.
Il calcio è un nostro hobby particolare che abbiamo. Poi specialmente che abbiamo la Serie A è una nostra nota di merito. E ci teniamo tantissimo alla nostra società, al nostro allenatore.
Pescara has been up to Serie A before. In 1977 and 79 they came up only to be faced with immediate relegation both times. In 1987 things went a bit better. This time they lasted a whole 2 seasons before heading back down to Serie B. All in all though, when the name Pescara was announced among this year's promotions, you can bet it didn't send shivers down the spines of the likes of Milan, Juventus and Roma. But then we were all in for a big surprise.
AS Roma were their first opponents. Playing their opener away at a packed Stadio Olimpico in Roma, Pescara would be the first victims of Roma's multi-million-pound attack of Canigia, Carnevali and Rizzitelli. But they held the Romans scoreless, and with this strike from Nobili, Pescara had the upset win of opening day. They now found themselves at the top of Serie A, alongside their next opponents, AC Milan. Even if the rest of Italy wasn't expecting much from the match,
The good people here at Pescara were certainly getting excited. In the days leading up to the game, all 13,000 season tickets were sold. Police had to intervene as fights broke out in the queues. Another 1,000 seats were added here at the stadium, making the crowd on game day
a record 25,500. But even then, 6,000 fans were left to follow the action from outside. This is what they missed. With thoughts of what might have been.
Honestly, we could have won this game. And that's why I'm a bit disappointed, because we didn't win it. And we were 4-2 up and we lost the game.
And Sivabek's right. A club made up of 30-something imports and underexperienced youngsters weren't far off giving Milan their first loss in a year and a half. Millions they don't have all recognized stars, so what's the Pescara secret?
Diciamo effettivamente siamo una famiglia, poi l'ambiente ha molta fiducia, ci lascia lavorare tranquilli e anzi ci dà a volte dei momenti di esaltazione che ci fanno rendere tutti al di là delle proprie possibilità.
A very family atmosphere and that's quite nice. I mean, but we have to get results. I mean, in the end it's a result. For me it's a result. I mean, I don't mind to have a good atmosphere in a club or like a family or something, but if you don't get any results, I mean, for me it's nothing.
The men brought in to get those results are Sivabek, who's fresh from triumph in Sweden with the Danish team, Roger Mendy, a 32-year-old Senegalese ex of Monaco, and Blas Slišković, a 33-year-old Croat imported from Rennes. Are they going to be enough, though, in this league of super squads to sustain this level of play?
Of course, I hope so, but I've got a feeling that the time I've been here in Pescara, that Pescara is a team who can play good football and good games against big teams, as we said, like Roma and Milan, and maybe I think we'll have a bit difficulties against smaller teams, and that's concluding Brescia and Cona and these teams.
While Sivabek worries about this weekend in Brescia, Pescara's coach Giovanni Gaglioni is off fishing in Sardinia, and life at the club continues at its informal pace. But what of the by now international rumours of a £3.5 million swoop for Wimbledon's John Fashionau?
No, è stato uno scherzo dei giornali, noi stimiamo molto Fasciano, ma diciamo che le nostre scelte le abbiamo fatte e credo che non saranno modificate fino alla fine del torneo.
Pescara may be little fish in a big pond, but they've already given one or two sharks something to think about. They're currently lying 8th in the table, but from here on in, the big battle, apart from getting their front doorstep repaired, is to avoid the relegation that's haunted every trip this club has made to Serie A. If they can do that, and do that in the entertaining style we've seen so far, then we could have this year's Foggia on our hands.
Italian clubs started on the European trail this week with AC Milan leading the charge in the European Cup. Marco van Basten followed up his hat-trick of last weekend with two more in the 4-0 win over Olimpia Ljubljana, his first coming after 4 minutes. Dimitro Albertini hit a scorcher a couple of minutes later. Then Van Basten showed clinical finishing power to make it 3-0 in the second half. And the Milan millionaires completed a comfortable victory when Ruud Gullit supplied a killer pass for Jean-Pierre Papin to score the fourth, his first in serious competition for the club since his £10 million move from Marseille. The individual performance of the week came from Napoli's Daniel Fonseca, who scored all 5 at Valencia in the UEFA Cup. The Uruguayan striker pounced first after 21 minutes. Roberto levelled things to give the Spaniard some heart. But then Fonseca grabbed 4 more in a brilliant final half hour after Valencia had defender Quique sent off. Fonseca's performance earns him a place in the record books, the first time a player has scored 5 away from home for an Italian club in Europe. Not even Maradona with his superb record at Napoli could manage that. Juventus brought in David Platt for his first game, and they responded to his promptings by scoring 6 times in the UEFA Cup tie with Famagusta. Roberto Baggio put them on the way after only 4 minutes. Andre Müller was on target 7 minutes later. Vialli leads the applause, and 2 minutes from half-time it was he who made it 3. Antonio Conte scored number 4 on the stroke of half-time. Vialli got his second, and Juve made it 6 through defender Moreno Torricelli. The Cypriots did get a late consolation, a fine strike from Cispayu. Roma continued the UEFA goal glut with a fine 4-1 win away at Vata Inzaghi. Giuseppe Giannani scored the first, and Claudio Caniggia made it 2 inside the first 21 minutes. Although Bauer pulled one back to Innsbruck, Giannini scored just before half-time, and that virtually settled the tie. But Roberto Muzzi made sure with a 4th. The only Italian defeat of the night was suffered by Torino. They looked like holding out for the draw until Per Blom topped up with Norrköping's winner. With Parma beating Budapest 1-0, it was a good night for the Italian captain. But what kind of a week has it been for Paul Gascoigne?
Well, this week I've had a very busy week as it happens. On Sunday, on the Saturdays it happens, I went for a little medical check about my thigh. Everything's okay. On the Sunday, we obviously the match Lazio versus Fiorentina, as we watched back home. I was a bit disappointed that the lads drove to us all, because you know the one down, they fought very well 2-1, and then they started to not be as strong as they were when they were 1-0 down. Come to the second half, you know, when we gave that goal away with 10-15 minutes ago, a bit disappointed. Then it was the other team were on top, you know. They fought well to get the second goal back. I was a bit disappointed, so I left with 10 minutes to go. I was too upset to watch anymore. Through the week, Monday, I had very good news on Monday. If you're all listening to this, very, very good news. I'm allowed to back in football. My legs very well. The stretching on the thighs, fantastic. I have a practice match coming up today, about 4 o'clock amongst all the lads, 90-minute game. So I'm going to give my best performance and give everything I have. Then after that, next week against Tottenham, I will play. That's the 23rd. I'm looking forward to that. So guys, if you're watching, take it easy on us, please. You know, I've got a bad knee at the moment, and it's really nerves. Nah, if you just take it easy on us, lads, and especially Paul Allen, if you're watching. After that, hopefully the training will be going very well. You know, I think I'll be a little bit stiff over the next couple of days. After the Tottenham match, and then on the Sunday we play Genoa, and hopefully I will play in that game. That'll be my first game back in 16 months, been in fact nearly 17 months. First game back, and I've been really looking forward to that. And all next week I'll be pouring off tea, coffee, making them sandwiches, giving them apple every morning, washing these grapes, just so I can get a game.
Now the rest of the goals from last weekend's Serie A feast, starting with Sampdoria at Ancona.
Serbian import Vladimir Jukic opened the scoring for Sampdoria after 23 minutes after that penetrating through ball from Papai Lombardo. This was Jukic's second goal in 2 games for his new club. He's going to be popular. Ancona struck back a quarter of an hour later when Ermini poked home the equaliser after Ruggeri's ball in from wide. Three minutes later, Katanic, playing his first game after the Carthage operation, was sent off. Sampdoria down to 10 men. The home side took the lead just before the interval after this throw-in was nodded on to Lajas Tatari on the far post. Coming up, a contender for goal of the day with this effort by Roberto Mancini after 59 minutes. Sampdoria level at 2-2. Mancini did ever so well. Despite falling, he managed to get his shot on target. The winner came 15 minutes before full time. Lombardo worked the ball out to the right-hand side, and Jugevic's shot was deflected over his own goalkeeper by Ruggeri. Jugevic can't claim this one, as in Italy, this counts as an own goal. Ancona's substitute Zarate had a chance to square things up just before the end, but Pagliuca pushed this effort over the bar after Des Walker forced the Argentinian wider and wider. Final score, Ancona 2, Sampdoria 3. Following Torino's 4-1 opening day win over Ancona, they travelled to Cesena to play the second division champions Brescia, a game played on neutral ground. New signing Aguilera was unlucky to hit the post here. It was a foretaste of the luck his team were to receive during the match. After last week's goal spree, Torino found it tough to break Brescia's tight defence. It wasn't all one way though. Sabao should have done better here with his shot, following that poor punch out by the goalkeeper. Another new boy, Silenzi from Napoli, in for Casagrande, cross for fullback Sergio to volley over here. The pressure from Torino continued into the second half as the Brescia defence failed to clear the ball effectively, and Annoni first to react to this sloppy pass. From the free kick, Sordo might have connected here. Brescia had one more chance to score their first goal of the season after good work on the left. Sabao's headed pass found his fellow attackers strangely absent. Final score, Brescia 0, Torino 0. The game between Foggia and Napoli was in doubt right up until half an hour before kickoff, after disgruntled Foggia fans vandalised the stadium. They were protesting against a controversial president, Pasquale Casillo, in an effort to force him out of the club after he'd sold most of last season's squad during the summer months. This Careca header was Napoli's first chance after a goalless start to the season. Fonseca opened the scoring after 11 minutes, 1-0 to Napoli. Foggia were only behind for 5 minutes, with Pierpaolo Bresciani finishing in fine style. Bresciani, one of Milan's many rejects, signed this summer. Well, the fast-flowing football continued, but Zola failed to put Napoli ahead after breaking through Foggia's defence. He made amends shortly after with this brilliant free kick to put Napoli 2-1 up. Foggia weren't behind for long. A superb goal coming up now, an interchange of passes between Kolivanov and Biagioni. And Bresciani scores his second goal of the season. Well, Napoli took the second half in a canter, but Mancini had to keep out a header here from one of his own defenders. The Foggia goalkeeper had no chance with this volley from Careca, which put Napoli 3-2 up after the hour mark. Careca had a poor start to the season. How about that for a finish? As the game drew to a close, Kolivanov had a couple of chances to draw Foggia level, but was twice kept out by solid Napoli defending. Greco wasted a good opportunity to wrap things up. Then Kolivanov failed to make an impression here. Fonseca delivered the decisive blow a minute from full time. Carbone dragged the ball back for the Uruguayan striker to slot the ball home. This proved to be the last goal of the match. Napoli with the victory. Foggia 2, Napoli 4. After Roma's dismal home defeat to Pescara last week, they travelled to play Genoa. Still had trouble finding the net. Mihailovic's early effort kept tight by Tacconi. Then Salzano crossed for Muzzi, who was unable to keep his header down. Roma then kept up the pressure, but again Muzzi disappointed here. Genoa fought back with this volley from Johnny Van Schip, who's Genoa's only goal scorer this season. And then Padovano's goal-bound effort was acrobatically cleared off the line by the Brazilian Alder. This is some defending. Roma again failed to capitalise as Tacconi easily gathered this header from Caniggia. Then Scuravi did well to set this chance up for Padovano, but again the striker from Napoli couldn't convert. Genoa again went close early in the second half. Ruotolo shooting wide. And then the same player on this great run before being fouled by Salzano, who was in turn sent off by the referee. Mihailovic was having a busy day. This free kick saved by Tacconi. Then he fired just over when the ball ricocheted into his path. Bad miss from the former golden boy of Red Star Belgrade. Then Scuravi failed again to score his first goal after hitting 11 last season. Then Mihailovic went close from 35 yards with that free kick. The crossbar coming to the aid of Tacconi here. Only 2 0-0 draws in Serie A this week. This was one of them. Inter were looking for a home win after last week's surprise 2-1 defeat at the hands of Serie A newcomers Udinese. Doko Panchev had the first chance to put matters right here. After 7 minutes, Inter broke through, Bianchi firing in after Schillaci had caused problems in the Sardinian defence. Skipper Bergami put them 2-0 up 10 minutes later with a simple tap-in. Then Nicola Berti might have done better here. And then won this tackle in midfield before setting up Matthias Sammer, who shot wide. Francescoli then had this chance to pull one back for Cagliari, who was still 2 down. But he made amends shortly afterwards, dribbling brilliantly before sending through a perfect ball for Oliveira to beat Zenga in the Inter goal. 2-1. But his side back in with a shout. Brilliant work here from the Uruguayan international. A good finishing too from the new Brazilian signing, Oliveira. Toto Schillaci is still finding it hard to score goals and did everything right here before being denied by the goalkeeper. Inter survived with this penalty appeal. But they got their clinching goal in the final minutes. Yelpo with an uncertain clearance. The ball is never cleared properly by the defence, so watch out for an outstanding finish from Igor Shalimov. Inter's new boy certainly will be pressing for a first-team place if he continued to score goals like this. Final score, Internazionale 3, Cagliari 1.
Inter Milan getting it right last weekend. Could their fortunes be changing this season? James Richardson investigates.
While AC Milan was storming their unbeaten way to the Italian Championship last season, another Milan club
was facing a rather different set of circumstances. Internazionale Milano had a set of defenders who couldn't cope with the coach's instructions, an offense that scored a pitiful 12 goals in the 17 home games, and 3 German players who most of the time were barely on speaking terms with the club. Well, they may still have the boos of the San Siro crowd ringing in their ears, but now Inter are hoping the nightmare of last season is finally over. They've certainly cleaned house here.
Gone are the Germans, gone too is coach Luis Suarez. In their place, Osvaldo Bagnoli, the man whose Genoa team put Liverpool out of Europe a year ago, and with him 10 new players.
Beh, indubbiamente hanno preso dei calciatori molto validi come Shalimov, Schillaci stesso e questo Summer che è molto atteso. Pancev è un giocatore di fama internazionale ed è sicuramente una certezza, ma anche Sosa, un calciatore che hanno preso per veramente pochi soldi, 1,5 miliardi in Italia, pochissimo. È un ottimo acquisto. Sì, può essere stata una campagna non da scudetto, ma senz'altro per uscire dagli incubi dell'anno scorso, sì.
La società ha lavorato molto bene, grazie al nostro presidente, ha preso degli ottimi giocatori, ha preso 4 stranieri nuovi, ha preso un allenatore nuovo. E io spero insomma che bisogna andare meglio dell'anno scorso, se no sono guai.
With the kind of talent Inter now have, the pre-season talk was of wresting the title from crosstown rivals AC Milan. The season's first 2 games, however, have somewhat cooled the club's optimism. A disastrous loss to Udinese was followed by a distinctly panicky 3-1 win over Cagliari. So is this or isn't this the year that Inter return to glory?
Probabilmente tutte queste grosse squadre qua hanno dei cicli in cui vincono e dei cicli in cui non vincono. Adesso il Milan è un ciclo in cui vince, probabilmente ha un parco giocatori che può confidare in questo. L'Inter non ce l'ha e deve costruirselo, perciò noi dobbiamo costruirci il parco giocatori per poter vincere, sperando che questo succeda più in fretta possibile.
Supposedly a key feature of Inter's reconstruction is the addition of Toto Schillaci from Juventus. But which Schillaci have Inter bought? The golden boot of Italia 90 or the disenchanted and disappointing striker of the last 2 years?
Tanto bisogna pensare che Schillaci dopo l'anno dei mondiali ha avuto un'annata non tanto felice, ma che non dipendeva da lui, ma dipendeva da tutta la squadra. L'anno scorso la squadra come la Juventus non ha vinto, allora quando una squadra come la Juventus, Milan, non vince è sempre un'annata che è criticabile. Perciò non è questione di Schillaci, è questione che probabilmente non aveva tutta la squadra che lo potesse aiutare. Noi confidiamo di aver preso uno Schillaci che faccia bene quello che noi gli domandiamo.
A penalty goal aside, Schillaci has yet to make his mark at Inter, but he's not the only one to be feeling the pressure. His Italia 90 teammates Berti, Bergami and Zenga are now all out of the national squad, and with Inter fighting hard to forget last year, the team is looking increasingly jumpy. Nerves were so much of a problem in the first 2 games that Bagnoli has held a special midweek heart-to-heart to try and ease his players' insecurities.
Se una squadra come l'Inter non ha queste paure, probabilmente concede troppo all'avversario e probabilmente sarà difficile parlare di vittoria se avremo queste paure.
È una difesa un po' insicura, l'ho vista, nonostante abbia giocatori di esperienza, ha qualche paura di troppo.
Inter's defence will certainly have something to worry about against Napoli's forwards, Zola, Correca and of course Fonseca. Napoli have been held scoreless before, but that was in week 1 against Brescia, and as Inter themselves will be the first to tell you can't take week 1 results too seriously. A surer measure of Napoli's goal-scoring ability is the 4 they put past Foggia on Sunday, and of course Fonseca's 5 on Wednesday night against Valencia.
Insomma, Zola, Fonseca e Carreca, insomma, sono 3 giocatori che farebbero impazzire qualsiasi difesa al mondo e dunque bisognerà tenerli sotto controllo, in maniera molto rigida.
While Berti and co keeping things rigid will certainly help, perhaps the real key to Inter's chances is this man,
Ruben Sosa. Sosa has yet to make his official debut for Inter, but it's a sure bet that he'll be out on the field at the Sao Paulo. Why? Well, Sosa is the fastest player they have, and speed like his is Inter's best chance of unsettling Napoli's rather slow defense.
L'attacco contropiede credo che è l'arma molto importante per giocare a Napoli, perché loro sono un po' lenti e allora il contropiede si può fare gol. Speriamo di essere in campo e far vedere il contropiede. No?
Io credo che l'Inter punterà molto sul contropiede in questa partita, proprio perché neanche la difesa del Napoli è una difesa straordinaria, per cui penso che l'arma in più dell'Inter in questa partita sarà il contropiede.
So, will Bagnoli's midweek confidence-boosting talk have worked? Will Toto Schillaci return to his bug-eyed bomber golden days of the World Cup? And will Ruben Sosa wrong-foot the Napoli defence and give Inter the surprise victory? It's 8 years now since Inter have won at Napoli, and to be honest, it'll need a yes to all three of those questions for Inter to end that streak.
Now Gazzetta previews all this weekend's games, which include Lazio at Cagliari, Juventus away to Genoa, and our live game.
Napoli-Inter, live game. It'll be a very, very tough game. Napoli have a guy up front called Francesca. He played midweek, he scored 5 goals. I think he was one off the record. Very, very comfortable player, very, very good, sharp. Also they have Careca, who they team up very, very well together. Inter, obviously they have Schillaci, is one of my favourite players out there. This will be a very, very tough match, very, very tough. It'll be hard to give a result on here. I think I'm going to have to go for 1-1. Brescia-Pescara. Brescia 0-0 last week. You know, they were at home. They don't seem to be scoring goals, but and again they're another surprise team. Pescara last week they scored 4 goals. I watched on the screen, the big screen. They seemed to get 2 goals very quickly. Milan scored 2. At the end of the day, they got beat 5-4, but they played a very, very strong team. But 4 goals against Milan is very, very good, and I can see them winning this game 2-0. Cagliari-Lazio, my team, obviously. The two teams, Cagliari got beat 3-1 last week, but seemed to be very, very strong in the second half. Lazio, my team, we give away a goal, winning 2-1, same as usual as last season. We seem to be giving goals away the last 5-10 minutes. Must be concentration, but I can see the match being a tough game for Lazio. It was Cagliari being at home, and I remember watching Cagliari a couple of years ago. Very, very strong side when they play at home, and hopefully it'll be 1-1 for my sake. Fiorentina and Corona. Fiorentina obviously drew against Lazio. I thought they played quite well, especially the first half when they were on top. And Corona were beaten 3-2 to Sampdoria. Sampdoria is a very, very strong side. That one, obviously, a lot of games are draws, but I think I would have to give this one to Fiorentina, 1-0. Okay, now we have Genoa and Juventus. This will be very hard. Platt is yet to play. We don't know if he's going to play this match. I hope it is, because he's a friend of mine. But I think Juventus on the day will be a lot stronger, and I think he could win maybe 3-1, 3-0. Milan, Atalanta. Milan, as we say last week, they scored 5 goals away from home. They're at home, very, very strong. Atalanta were away from home and got 4 goals against them. So, as you can see, I think this is going to be a Milan victory. Roma, Foggia. Roma have had a bad start this season. They got beat the first game and a 0-0 last week. They're not doing too good, and I hope it keeps that way just for me. It could be a Roma win, 1-0 for the first victory for Roma, but I think if Foggia give everything they've got, it could be a 1-1 draw. It's either going to be 1-0 or 1-1. Hopefully 1-1 for us. Torino-Parma, both teams are, you know, they haven't got big name players in the team, but they'll battle and scrap for everything. You know, yeah, I can't say much on this match because really I've never seen much of the both teams, but you see it'll be a hard-fought battle, and I can just see this being a 0-0. Udinese, Sampdoria. Udinese at home, that would be a big help for them because Sampdoria have scored 6 goals in 2 games. But also they've let in 5 goals, so I think they have to tighten up the defence. But I can see this match going to Sampdoria, winning 1-0. Who knows, Des Walker might score. Don't think so.
Now it's competition time on Gazzetta Football Italia. Today your chance of a luxury trip for 2 to Italy to take in the Italian Cup final. Also the complete kit of the Italian team of your choice, plus copies of Channel 4's brand new Italian football magazine due out in a few weeks' time. To enter, Just watch the following action, then ring your answer on 0891 333 444. Toto Schillaci, now with Inter Milan, was Italy's hero in the 1990 World Cup. But how many did he finish up with during the finals? Was it A, 5 goals, B, 6 goals, C, 7 goals? The first correct caller picked out by our computer next Thursday wins the complete Italian team kit of their choice and goes into a winner's playoff for that luxury trip for two to the Italian Cup final at the end of the season. The lines will be open until next Thursday. The winner will be chosen then and announced in this program next Saturday. The answer to last week's competition, from which club did Marco van Basten join AC Milan, was of course Ajax of Amsterdam. And the winner was Mr. J. Hastings of Newcastle upon Tyne. And there were 5 lucky runners-up as well. And that's it. Remember, Napoli versus Inter live here on Channel 4 tomorrow, starting at 2:45.